Hey everyone, for my article for the speech, I read In Pursuit of Happiness, which was by Rumni Saha, a special education teacher and columnist for the Huffington Post online. And her topic of conversation was about if happiness is considered overrated and the concept of happiness, if that's overrated or not. And it was brought up to her by a friend who asked that, and it kind of made her think about her personal belief in happiness and what makes her happy, and if it actually truly is overrated. And she starts off just as an intro talking about that, and then talks about how she goes into what she learned growing up, kind of through high school and college, of the concepts of happiness. And she talks about Hinduism, starting off with that, and what she remembers from high school, and talking about how Hinduism is split up into four distinct categories, which is Dharma, morality, Artha, which is wealth and prosperity, Kama, physical bliss and enjoyment, and Moksha, which is liberation and spirituality. She pays her respects in that sense, saying it's an admirable idea, but to her, she doesn't believe life is so black and white and it can be split up. Happiness, at least, can be split up into just four categories that define it. And she thinks that the fact that happiness is kind of a gray area is what makes it so special, which I agree with. It's one of the few things I agree with her about on this particular topic in her article. Also talking about that she doesn't believe in God. That's another reason why she can't really believe in a religion whose rules kind of set things in terms of karma and things based off that. She disagrees with that, which kind of changes her opinion and view of it, even though she respects it. Then she moves on to Buddhism, which she wrote very, very shortly about, and she mostly agreed with it, and she quoted the Dalai Lama in a quote saying that happiness is not something ready-made, it comes from your own actions, which she agrees with, kind of saying that happiness comes from within you and you get to define what makes you happy compared to other people, which is completely true. I agree with that. It's kind of what we've been reading and the articles we've gotten and the essays that we've been talking about, and it's something that I believe in as well in terms of things that how I define what makes me happy and what should make other people happy. Everyone is happy by different standards, which is totally okay. After all this analysis, she goes on to talk about what she discovered about happiness, which that she notices how people in their daily lives kind of convince themselves that they're happy. They do it by just totally delving into their jobs and their work area and kind of thinking they're happy because they're productive and they're getting things done, and that gives them a sense of like self-fulfillment, which I understand. And she kind of talks about if that is that really true happiness, that you're proud of what you've gotten accomplished. And then she talks about temporary bliss in a sense that people kind of binging on things like partying and drinking and shopping, which is something we've talked about. If shopping or monetary items can really give you that happiness, and how it kind of fades away. And she kind of funny that she noted that people often say that acts like these are therapeutic, like shopping is, or drinking and partying, which in itself kind of notions the fact that you need therapy or that you need help. She notices that people constantly try new things or are continually doing old practices that make them happy temporarily, or some people just have no time to even think about happiness and it's way over their head and they don't really worry themselves about it. Following that, she kind of talks about what she kind of found out about herself through this, and how happiness is only overrated because most of us are afraid to seek out happiness. We feel that happiness is unachievable and too much work to obtain, and therefore kind of quit on trying to find it. And she defines at the end that happiness is for those who want to live each day to the fullest and wake up the next morning ready to live again. And that true happiness is breathing in contentment and breathing out serenity. And I agree with that in the sense that it should be, she kind of leaves it another gray area for those who want to live each day to the fullest, but I also kind of disagree with her in the fact that she kind of went through different models of happiness, of how people base their lives, and some people find that the way of Buddhism or Hinduism or going a religious route or their work makes them happy. My work makes me happy. I know there's millions of the people that are like that, and she kind of discredits that saying that's not true happiness. Then at the end, she kind of says, well, it's kind of how you live each day. So she kind of disagrees with herself in that sense, which I didn't really like. I disagree with that completely, and it should be just a total open area. Everyone gets happy by different things, and for her to kind of set her writing earlier on saying that these aren't the things that should make people happy, and then at the end to say, oh, well, whatever can make you happy, kind of discredits her in my sense, in my opinion. And saying how that true happiness is breathing in contentment and breathing out serenity. Well, like I said kind of previously with what makes people happy differently, you can have a million things that make you feel content or bring forth that feeling of serenity. So it's just strange. It was a weird kind of up and down article. The title kind of had a good beginning to it that kind of caught my eye. And I'm glad I read it. What I really learned out of it, not really a whole lot. In a sense, the only thing kind of pointed out to me was, since we've been reading so many essays and analyses lately, or kind of saying how happiness isn't one set thing, is kind of further proved it, because to me this lady kind of spent her whole essay saying that it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, but well, for me it's actually, it can be anything. So this is kind of like an opposite of what I've been enjoying about reading in the past few things lately, and reading about how we can perceive happiness in whatever way we want, and there can be some false happiness like monetary things, although in my opinion people can be happy through that way. You know, it's up to them. It doesn't work for me, it doesn't mean it can work for someone else though. The credibility of the story is kind of strange, because it's kind of an opinionated story, so it can't really be discredited. There's no facts, there's no research behind it. It's just kind of her open opinion of things, and her open analysis of happiness itself through what she's kind of been taught, and what her opinions have kind of formed over time, and looking back on things of her education, her livelihood and growing up, and how that kind of meshes into the reality of things for her now. And she kind of wants to portray that onto the people reading this, and that I guess maybe she's trying to answer questions for someone who is looking for answers in what they should be looking for in terms of what happiness is, but at the same time she kind of discredits happiness for other people, which was something I disagreed with. And that was my analysis and my speech. If you guys have any questions on it or any comments, please feel free to post below. Thank you.